So the horses were there. I mean, one horse is a messenger to come to the conclusion of the lecture. So there must be a framework. That must not be an old framework. Well, the qualities of old frameworks is they are concepts, they are traditions, they are passed on us, and we do not experience them immediately, as I experience here this horse and the smell and the colors. So basically, I suggest in the moment of this elevation of power, you try to structure it, just simply knowing that if you want to get somewhere, you have to have a trail, you have to have a path, you can just walk in all directions. And if you want to reduce it to the deepest desire, we all have desires, and the deepest and desire that no one would doubt is to be healthy and to live for a long time, because the time is confusing. There's a lot of possibilities today. You know, you have internet and you can travel. I just came here to Crete from Germany for 30 euro on a cheap flight. No? Well, would not be possible some time ago. So to find your way between so many possibilities, you need some time. You need a lot of time, and so you want to have it, and you want to be there. You don't want to read about it. You want to do it on yourselves, and you have to have your body with you to go to all those places, to meet all those interesting people, to do all those interesting stuff. A stuff that is drawing you. There is another concept by Klages which is very important. It is not us, and it is compatible with Heidegger, also with Nietzsche, or this idea about the non-existence of the will. Typically Nietzschean again opposition, and sometimes he says we have no free will, and then he postulates the will to power as the basic metaphysical force, which was a mistake. But about that later. The concept by Klages is that we are being drawn to those experiences, to those people, to those locations that are important for us because of the similarity in our body and our soul. An old concept of elementary forces that comprise your body. Do you have much fire? Do you have much water? Are you an athletic type? Are you a book type? And so it seems to be reasonable that we are different, and we should keep it like that. We should not standardize the human race according to some genetic research, what is supposed to be the best. And being drawn to very many wonderful places, you need the time, you need your health. So I suggest as you come up from the ocean or from the shower or whatever, on this high peak of power, find yourself a strong location in nature, and or a garden or park, and exercise your body in a slow motion, structuring it, simply gliding with your hands through the morphogenetic field of your body, which is, maybe 10 centimeters, maybe 20 centimeters, 30 of your body. Maximum is half a meter maximum, as far as your arms are long, and you structure your body. You know some anatomy, you know some physiology. You should because it's a disaster if you know more about your profession, about cars and geography and astronomy, whatever, than about your own body, which is your home number one. So learn, please, anatomy and physiology, and then learn it in its best quality, and then take yourself and make yourself an image of yourself which you desire, and then try to shape it in the moment, or try to fill your organs, your bloodstreams, your heart, your lungs, your brain, all organs of your body, bones even, with the elementary power which is around you. Okay, getting it in, okay, and improving the function. So if you know the physiological function well, then you can improve it, and by imagination. So, and this is going to be a ritual of motion of the body, slowing down, doing this gestalt work, gestalting your body, and filling it with positive, healthy, beautiful images. This is you are working with your soul. Okay, so for me it has taken on a form of qigong with certain special imaginations, and I say out of this, and we come to the beginning of our lecture, if somebody has this mission, if somebody is really drawn to a place like that, and he is performing there his rituals in this sense, he is the most authentic, let us say, religious reviver, okay, or the religion reviver. He is the most seriously to be taken effort to recreate authentic religious cults in anywhere in the world. Okay, and for us in Europe, it is definitely returning back to the clash of cultures between the invaders, Indo-European invaders, and the original European population. Whatever it was, here in the Mediterranean, Minoans, they called themselves differently at the time, Etruscans and Celts of some sort in Northern Europe. Okay, everybody has got to know his tradition and then come back to that, because all those old inhabitants of Europe were certainly much more matrimonial. They worshipped much more the Great Mother than the one abstract god or the polytheistic systems of Greeks and Germans or whatever. And that's why they were much more elementary, worshipping elementary cults, forces like sea, rivers, oceans, rocks, because they did not have this personified assembly of gods. And this is what we need. Do you understand the connection? We need this return to the immediate, authentic experience. You can never immediately and authentically experience a personified God, because he is always a projection of you, in the sense, let us keep it in mystical quotes, if it could be possible, if when you imagine like a Shiva or like Christ, who themselves certainly did not exist, and unfortunately modern man, I must say this, they did not exist in the form as they are depicted, but they may have existed in the soul of some individual man who believed in them so strongly that their morphogenetic field has taken on the shape, on the vibration, let us say, of that that the person has imagined, and eventually, and this is what I say the mystical quotes, it may have changed their body. But in the same sense that as a sportsman who decides to win Olympic Games, he has a vision that he is standing there with this medal and he's running and running and running and running until through years of filling his soul with this image, his body takes on a shape that's make it possible. It's simply training. Training. This is all what you have to do. As Peter Sloterdijk says, first is training, and the belief that accompanies this training will come by itself, simply because the soul gets into such quality that it cannot but believe, because I mean, it's not belief, it is reality for you then, okay? Because your body is changing, your soul is changing. Okay? So, this is it. I hope you understand what I mean. The conclusion is that even though it may have been funny at the beginning, just addressing myself to the European committee somewhere in Brussels for cultural development, they should consider this seriously and make grants for people who have this knowledge. That is, you have to have some years of study, you have to have some physical abilities to travel and have proven that you have traveled many years, and then when you find a location where you perform these rituals and they are authentic and you do not want to be admired, this is important. Oh yeah, this is difficult. Oh yeah, this is difficult. It takes you decades before you lose your desire to be admired, or to win something special, or to be paid. Okay, naturally you need some money, but you have to make them on your own some other way, or you have to be without work and live on support, as I did for some time. Oh, it's come all the hard-working man and says, you see, he's a lazy man. Well, no. I have addressed myself to the work center, the job center. Long letters I have addressed myself to. I've written to the health insurance, all kinds of institutions. In Germany it was, by describing how the practice of working and healing should be changed so that man really is healthy and there is work for everyone, and they refused this. So I have seen myself forced from time to time, when I didn't have money, to say, well, the decadence of Europe has reached such levels that it is not even desired to recover, and those individuals who have the ability to bring the recovery are refused by the institutions. This is like a patient ill with cancer who comes to the doctor and he says to him, well, I know you, so I hope you can cope with this message. You have cancer and you will die probably in 2 years, but you can change, because I have seen people change, I have seen people healed, but you have to make a radical change in your way of life, which includes changing of the social environment, working environment, and nutrition, diet, and so on. And this person says, well, you see, I prefer to die because I hate it to change, and above all, I hate all those who have made it. And so if you keep on pushing me, I may call the police that you are, you know, a shaman or whatever. So, isn't it crazy that people, and it happens frequently, even though it is not expressed, they go away, they may try for some time, and then they say, no, I don't want to change. I can't change, because Nietzsche says, many want, but only a few can. So, as Nietzsche would say, everything is as it must be, because there is no free will, and this part of his who agrees there is no free will, then we don't have to call upon anybody. It will happen without our call, anyhow. But I am not a Nietzschean philosopher fully. Some of his ideas have accepted, especially the idea of self-betrayal as a basic structure of human psyche to live, to continue living, and his concept of resentment, which I have experienced frequently, that is the envy of those who are not so gifted as others, and so to say, and reevaluation of our values, that our mostly treasured values are expression of egoistic desire. So these are Nietzsche's achievements that are there forever, but some other ideas like the will to power being a metaphysical arche of life at all is wrong. You have to read Klages about this. Okay. Now, so if I would be Nietzschean philosopher 100%, I would say, I don't care. Everything is as it is, as it must be. If it must happen, it will happen. I cannot change it. But I am more or less a Klagesian philosopher, and I say, we are being called, we are being drawn by the elementary forces to locations, and there is a call for healing coming from Mother Gaia to individuals who love certain locations, you know, and they simply come there like in a dreamy state, like they were children, and the mother is taking them and saying, holding their hands and giving them dreams and images, and some again run like hell, like antique heroes here, jump into the Mediterranean Sea and ride on the mountain bike and raise their arms to the sky, and they are kissed by the goddess, you know, in the form of some Greek heroine, or even they are spoken to by Apollo, the god of beauty and art, who inspires them. And what is this? You know? Is this a kind of emanation of strong physiology, as Nietzsche would put it? You know? Or is it a real call of the planet? And she is calling us, saying, listen, children, I love you because you are mine, and you are the most complicated children I have. And in your souls, as the idealistic German philosopher Fichte has said, is a place where I can see the beauty of my body. Oh, I wonder what all I am, because through human eyes and human ears and through the motion of your bodies and your delicate nervous system, which I have grown unknowingly to this perfection, I am myself pleased so much that I can experience this huge body of mine. Okay, but somehow some of you are hurting me very much, putting all kinds of these poisons into my body, and this is going to poison your body, because you are my body, it's going to poison us. So I don't know, maybe you should change. I'm just waking up now. You see, I sleep, I dream and sleep. There may be millions of years and tens of millions of years if nothing happens here, and then there will be 1,000 years in which the face of the planet, my face, is completely changed and all species die. So I sleep and I dream, and my time is different time. I turn around and turn around and turn around and fly through this dark heavens around the solar mother, around my solar mother. I turn around and fly, and recently only I have noticed scars on my face and the poison that you're putting into me. So now I'm going to shake. I'm going to wash it away. And yet, on the other side, I have never experienced such love and unity and feeling of family as I did with you, with some of your images, some of your feelings, some of your visions in your souls, in your bodies. So, okay, so this is what Mother Gaia is calling to us, and that is why these individuals that are drawn those places and do not want to be admired, but just simply want to have peace of mind, which is an old phrase, we should cross that out, peace of body and soul, because mind, the analytical mind in this sense, the analytical reason, is that part which brings dis-ease, like a virus, turning the body into a machine of war, or work, or sport, or sex, or a kind of wardrobe part, to put on expensive unnecessary stuff, and so, and this virus changes the soul into a kind of uprooted hysterical consumer entity which is eating shadows. The shadows are artificial images, artificial feelings, secondary feelings, not authentically experienced, made for selling and performances. The soul that eats shadows will be emptied, will be torn away from the body, and will get mad if it does not become dumb, as they say, and goes away long before the body dies. And what remains is a mechanical, functioning, analytical mind, working like a clock, and a mechanical working body. And this is, unfortunately, my friends, that which modern materialistic science has found the human body and the human soul to be: mechanical clockwork, measurable, predictable, operable, interchangeable, and so on. And now they have the software of it, They think the genome, the genetic code, not knowing that this is only a correlate, a kind of, you know, if you smell here, if you hear the cicadas singing, if you hear the bells of the goats ringing, sea is blue deep, house is white, okay. Feeling of tranquility, being at home, even though yesterday in darkness I reached this place unknown, slept under stars. Here. And if you cut my brain by some miracle into the last boson and electron, slice it and compute it with all the computers on the earth simultaneously, and make a kind of digital representation of it, you will find nothing of this what I have mentioned. No smells, no colors, no cicada, okay, no feeling of being at home. You will find only electrical potential changing on the membranes of the neurons. You will find some disbalance in the quantity of ions, okay, calcium, natrium ions will fluctuate across the semi-permeable membrane of a neuron, of an axon. Some chemical substances will be produced, dopamine, histamine, serotonin, whatever chemical qualities. This is it, and you get no further than this, and no one ever will, using the equipment of an analytical mind and modern materialistic science, because the soul, which has all these qualities, and everybody can have it, and we are running like mad for our holidays to have it. The soul is a morphogenetic field that is not detectable, and you should stop trying to detect it by realizing that it is not possible. It is, you can feel it in your friends, you can feel it in nature, because in nature and animals and plants, even such landscape, valleys and so on, they have another type of soul, but certainly they are somehow similar, so otherwise we would not communicate so easily with one another. So this is it. And if we want to have this soul filled, and we want basically be lucky, lucky is lucky is, everybody is lucky who wins some money or wins something. If you want to be really at home and healthy in some place on some place of this planet, in peace with your friends, and creative lifestyle, and for a long time, long time, experiencing all the beauty of Mother Gaia, and loving your friends, loving your partner, and seeing your children grow into beautiful men and women, creative again. So you should better hurry and understand this, what I'm saying. Okay. And what was the framework? I just was, my last idea was that Nietzsche would say this is going to happen or it is not going to happen. Klages, strangely enough, even though he believes in the call of Mother Gaia to man, he's pessimistic. He says the super machine, like we have seen in Matrix, is going to win, and the human race is doomed to end as we have known it. And maybe the last man, real last man, in the sense of having all the qualities of the body and soul that once were there, are the lonely wandering poets and bards and hermits. Now, strangely enough, I have a vision. I was depressed slightly when I have read Klages' works for 10 years about, and I have read it in detail, and I please all scholars who are able to read such books in German that they should postpone their, push away their unwillingness and simply try it, because it's a rational philosophy, it's not irrational. Rationality is very important if we look back at what we have experienced. If we cannot explain to ourselves our experiences, then we are lost slightly, and we shall lose the track, because we may have experienced something beautiful, great, unusual, mystical. Our soul may have been connected with the soul of another man or woman in love or in friendship or in hatred maybe, or may have been connected with a landscape and an animal, a garden, atmosphere, may have had visions at those moments, and we do not know how to explain it, so we say, oh, it's a dream, I was drunk, I took some drugs, or it is simply anomaly and I should return to the real life, which is analytical, measurable, predictable. Okay. But if you have a philosophy which is rational and explain this to you, then you can guard it as a treasure, and you shall never lose it, because anytime you have doubt, you can have a recourse to a rational explanation. So rational explanation of so-called irrational phenomena is important, but it should be looking back at that what you really experience. You should not speculate of what I shall experience, because then you can get caught in concepts that have no reality. Okay, so well then, what is my hope? I have read in Klages somewhere, in his big book, Der Geist als Widersacher der Seele, the analytical mind is an enemy of the soul, that there may be processes going on down everywhere and up everywhere in the body of Mother Gaia, which I may have expressed in the part of my lecture, as I was describing. He is holding our hands, she is holding our hands, and saying, little children, what shall I do? I either must wash you away or shake you away, or you will give me more of that which I love. And this is what I hope is going to happen, that more and more men and women and young pilgrims and dancers and musicians and sportsmen and farmers and teachers and whatever will stop performing whatever kind of representations to keep their track and role and position in hierarchies, institutions and whatever, and they will open to the present moment and they will simply listen to what is in the Krishnamurti sense. And then Mother Gaia shall speak to them. The difference of our, let us say, Minoan, early Greek, romantic philosophy and mysticism is that we want these rituals, a special kind of rituals, body and soul, similar to yogic and tantric experiences that our ancestors, brothers in India have developed for many thousands of years, because they are Indo-European, they are our brothers. But we have a different touch here, as our forefathers came here down to Mediterranean as barbarians. Some of them may have converted to the Minoan, let us say, Etruscan mother cult, and I may have been one of them. If I would believe in reincarnation, then I would call myself Solaros, the last priest of Mother Gaia. And our strategy, if we have one, or our looking back and somehow rationalizing the deepest core of our rituals, which we have experienced spontaneously, as Mother has called us. We have heard, as Goethe says, das ewig Weibliche zieht uns hinan. The female immortal or endless, everlasting female essence is drawing us to itself or herself, as we have experienced this call as young pilgrims and sportsmen, whatever, or dancers, or may have been ladies also, women, who experienced this call in a slightly different way, which I cannot speculate on, and would desire women priestesses to do so. Well, we have done these rituals, we have been doing these rituals for many, many years, until we come to some explanation in philosophy and psychology, and we're looking for this explanation, because if we are strong enough, we don't want to give them up, but we don't to feel that we are crazy, and we don't want to be described as crazy. We want to defend ourselves in rational terms, and strangely enough, if you really defend yourself with rational terms, the other side, who has been accusing you of irrationality, becomes irrational in turn, because they hate it. That is what resentment is. That is what Lebensneid is by Klages. That is what envy is. The most deep envy is the envy of life. If you live fully in the arms of great Mother Gaia, and you are healthy, and you're creative, and your body changes, and you do not need the admiration of others, because your rituals are guided by Eros, the creative principle himself, the Greek have mythologies, and mythology is always true and always wrong. Some of this is true, some of this is just a necessary addition for the century in which what was created, so that the creators are the representative of the good guys in the mythos, that they are really good guys. So, and the real part in good part in eternal part in Greek mythology is the part with Eros. Okay, first Gaia is created. This is also true. Gaia is created. Okay, out of mother son. We know that. Then Gaia creates heaven. We know that. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of years, little tiny bacteria in the old oceans were doing photosynthesis, producing oxygen, millions of years, and then heavens was created. Okay, and then Eros comes, which is not a personified god. No, it is a demon, or even more than a demon. Demon means elementary power, like sea, water, and so on. Fire. It's elementary and cosmic demon, principle of union of opposites, yin and yang. Okay, and out of this union, yin and yang, everything then is created. So if you have heaven and earth, Gaia, heaven, Uranus, yin and yang, and the union of both creates everything. So we have been drawn to the mother, the poet, the farmer, the magician. Now the warrior in his modern clothes as a sportsman. All pilgrims, musicians, handcraft, all professions that have a moment of peace in themselves. All professions, all hobbies that are not crucified on the matrix of concepts, of digital units, of numbers, all experiences that are not traceable with the mare geometrical of Descartes, okay, that are not to be found on GPS or on Yahoo, okay. You cannot Google this. Never. You should return to a notebook of paper. You go, you write, you draw, you paint. Okay. I use this digital recording, photography, because my mission is looking back on what I have experienced through decades where I did not do this. Okay, I do this now and recording it for you because as I was a young poet, farmer, magician, warrior, pilgrim, I was desperately looking for a teacher, for a book, for an image. And I have found some who inspired me greatly. I have lost them. I was cheated very many times. Okay, so I'm doing this for those of you who are searching. And maybe I'm doing it for the intellectual elite of Europe. Somewhere else maybe, who in their weak moments can admit that what I'm saying is true, and that the institutions that are now governing Europe are its grave if they do not revive themselves according to the principles of old Mediterranean cultures. Because the Indo-European invasion in its deepest presuppositions, the form in which religion was formed and language depicted this, and the structure of thinking has led to this disaster. A great philosopher who I have known personally, a Czech universal scholar, Milan Machovec, who died, I think, 2004 or something like that, has been the mentor of my first wild trips to Crete here in the search of the Great Mother. And his book, the Europeans, or the Indo-Europeans, in their homeland, or die Indo-Europäer in ihr Urheimat, Indo-Europané Stravlasti, talks about this very much. And he was one of the last European scholars who really had a synthetic soul and body. He was a great erotic in the philosophical sense also, admired by women, and lectured to the last breath, and was living a simple life. I was in his flat in Prague, Holešovice. I have remember him last moment I saw him. I have given him the present after he has read my articles about the first trips to Crete and about the Great Mother. He says, very good, and continue. And I have given him as a present a picture of two swans on blue background, a wonderful picture, loving two swans, shaping their necks as a heart on a blue surrounding. And he put it over his simple bed, like a student's bed, and said, well, isn't to je Lohengrinův pták? He says it in Czech. That is the bird of Lohengrin. Okay, so it's very much there in these few words. So I am addressing this to you as I was searching for something like that. And the trail of thought, the last one from which I have started this digression, was the defense of this way of philosophy and way of living by rational discussion. And if the philosophers who are able to do this read Klages again with the modern mind they have, with attentive soul and with somehow trained body, they will see that scarcely there has been another philosopher of such deep insight into noetic ideas. His fine analysis of the experience and his rational analysis of the connections between analytical reason, soul, body, what is perception, his triad, Schauung, Anschauung, Wahrnehmung, then the definition between Erleben und Erfahren. Okay, these are really fine, hair-splitting, but insight-bringing descriptions. Okay, so please do that. And when you encounter rationally discussing pilgrims, farmers, magicians, warriors, and priests of the Great Mother, then please encounter them in a rational mind easily. So this is it. I finish, and I hope, as I have said, that the responsible people in the European politics, police, or those who are responsible without being members of any institutions. I'm looking for my flute to conclude. Where is my flute? Will understand this. Okay. There are sometimes magical moments in your life when you obviously have nothing around you where it could hide, but it hides nevertheless. And so I conclude with the idea that Apollo himself has taken me the flute, and he is now working on it, and he will return it to me so that I can really play a magical melody. Bye bye.
This was for the fairy of the cave of Marmara, Oceania, the goddess of green-blue waters, and for Poseidon, her father, the mighty bearded one. Lala, thank you very much for this beauty.